What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy John, coming back at you again with another video. So I just wanted to do a real quick one, trying to get this under 5 minutes, right? I don't want to ramble too much. That is creepy as fuck. I need to close that motherfucking door. Jesus. Alright. What's going on? Hope your day is going pleasant. I wanted to just do a quick video on meditation. Okay, meditation. Now, look, I don't want to fall into the the bandwagon culture that we're seeing with, no PMO, right? You've got no PMO, people who do no PMO. You've got the MGTOW guys, then you've got the red pill guys who are kind of like the same thing, but not really, and then they kind of merge. And then you've got the guys who are red pilled, and they're MGTOW, and they're spiritual, right? They go on the whole spiritual path, they pick up the Bible, they start meditating, they really, sort out their like physical stuff. They do like, weight training, they do running, they'll do all sorts of stuff, right? Your life just improves when you engage in these practices. You naturally find an attraction to just spiritual stuff. I've got the Bible open. I've got this book that I'm reading called Shambhala, The Path of the Warrior. It's pretty fucking interesting, actually. You just have this attraction to the spiritual world or the other world or the scriptures, right? You want wisdom. You really want wisdom because you realize that, I don't really know anything. I don't know anything. And what I was taught in the past was bullshit. Yeah, what I was taught in the past was incorrect. It led me down a wrong path. I was suffering as a result of that path. And it was the discontinuation of that path. It was me saying I'm no longer following the old habits and I'm going to replace them with nothing new, or at least I'm going to try and replace them with new stuff, but at first nothing new. It was more like just taking away the bad habits, and the good habits just followed in wake, in their absence. Yeah, you take away no PMO, for example, a bad habit, and good habits will just come out of the nothingness. Yeah, you're gonna want to fill up your time with, useful stuff. Be it socializing, be it going for walks, be it running, weightlifting, reading, playing the PlayStation, right? Who the fuck knows what your habits are? But you do. I've noticed this inclination where, especially the dudes, the guys, they when they get on OPMO, they tend to become a bit religious or a bit spiritual. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think that's a coincidence at all. I think that those people who start moving towards virtue, yeah, doing good things for yourself and others, you will tend to be attracted to things that teach that virtue. Yeah, the Bible, ultimately, regardless of your opinions of God or Jesus or the accuracy of the Bible or whatever flaws there is with the book, everything has flaws, it is undoubtable that there is a unique version of human wisdom and direction in the Bible, in particular passages, in particular books as well. I will give you Psalms, for example. I will give you Proverbs, the wisdom of Sirach, right? I've got that one on my one. That's in my version, though. I don't think you're going to have it. I think it's the Ecclesiastes in your version, in the general version, right? But you do get this attraction to the spiritual. I've noticed it, and it's because what we were looking for when we were addicted, when we were addicts, when we were slaves to our lust, what we were looking for really was bliss. We were looking for bliss, right? We were looking for peace. When you busted a nut, or you jacked off and you watched the porn, you were in a state of bliss. You were in a state of no mind, right? You weren't thinking, you weren't worrying about your problems, you weren't feeling anxious, you were just enamored by what you were seeing, and you just wanted more and more and more of it. Now, of course, that's the wrong way of going about looking for bliss, because you sacrifice for bodily pleasure, you sacrifice your psychological well-being. You also sacrifice your relationships with others in ways that you cannot fathom unless you are out of that haze. Every addict will tell you that when they were doing the thing that they were addicted to, they felt like everything was okay, everything was fine. They convinced themselves that everything was okay. They were in delusion land. But in reality, they were not functioning very well. In reality, they were not a very good human being. They may have had some material successes, they may have conquered some stuff, but they didn't have a good vibe, they didn't have a good energy, they, generally speaking, would have some issues with just life. Now, I'm not saying your issues are going to go away when you do these practices, but what I will say is you know how to handle them a lot better. So this is where I get into meditation. When you're on this journey, you're going to have a lot of free time. And you're going to do a lot of introspection. There are moments and phases on my journey where I go from being very extroverted, very, I want to conquer the world, I want to go and explore stuff, I want to go and meet people, go and experience life, and I really get into that surge. I really experience stuff like for a good few weeks, and then I burn out, I lose that energy, and I go into more an introspective mode where I start, looking at myself inside. I start really doing a lot of retrospective thinking, I do a lot of reflective thinking, and it happens by itself. It's not even necessarily me doing it. But I find that during that phase, if I pick up the books, especially the books which I know have a lot of practical wisdom, a lot of the Buddhist books are helpful, a lot of the Christian ones are also helpful. Even that one that I showed you by David Hawkins, spiritual Buddhist, right, or Hindu, whatever you want to call it, very helpful. But when it comes to meditation, ultimately all these practices are pointing to meditation. Meditation is not, it's not thinking, although people think that, and people associate the practice of meditation with peace, which is okay, it's true, but if you associate meditation with peace, that means that if you're not at peace and you meditate, you will feel like you're not meditating, and that's incorrect. You are meditating. And you may not necessarily be at peace at first because you're just meditating, you're just observing the current state that you're in. But after you start observing what's going on, your dysfunctional patterns, they calm down a little bit, and they kind of go beneath the surface, and they're like dormant. They're just waiting now. Yeah, they're just waiting like cancer cells. They're waiting to attack, and you sort of go into this dormant phase. And in that dormant phase, you experience what we call peace, because you're no longer engaged in the dysfunctional bullshit. As a bloke, as a red-blooded British man, it's very important, men in general, of course, to have peace of mind. I think that's the most important thing. I think the most important thing that we need as humans is peace of mind and work that we actually enjoy, which you could also call play. Yeah, work that you enjoy is play, right? If you're doing running, for example, and you enjoy running, or you enjoy hiking, or you enjoy socializing and meeting people, whatever, this is not work, this is play, this is leisure. And the same goes for, like, if you're a construction worker, if you're someone who's a bricklayer, but that's just your art, man. That's how you express yourself, that's how you do it, like, that's what you enjoy. I don't think there's very many bricklayers that enjoy their work, but oh well, I'm probably sure that there's a few. It's not work for you, it's play, you're enjoying it. Same for me with weightlifting, right? It's difficult, it's hard, it definitely feels like work, but it's also play as well, because I enjoy it, it's fun. And then of course you've got, I think, companionship, friendship. I think that's very important in a man's life. You need companionship, be it in the form of men or women, and you need friendship. I think you're only going to really find that in a man, you're not going to find that in a girl. In my opinion, I don't think you can, but things can change, right? But friendship, I think that's really, really important. For your general mental, physical health, you need those three components. Peace of mind, I'd say, is even the most important. Everything that I do, more or less, in my life is geared towards peace of mind. And acting courageously, acting fearlessly, being someone who is bold and fearless and daring, who wants to get what he wants out of life. So, the point of this whole little shebang of a video is to basically say that meditation is important. Meditation is important, and I would say you implement it in your daily routine, you implement it in your daily life, okay? And the reason is because just 5 minutes of it, I'd even say 1 minute of it, 1 minute of just disassociating yourself from the mental, emotional patterns in your head, in your mind, that you think are you, yeah, the voice in your head, so to speak. You spend a little bit of time just watching it and observing it rather than being it, and you don't even have to get anything out of it. I'm not telling you to be in a state of bliss or peace, I'm just telling you to watch it. Just watch it and see what happens. Okay, if nothing happens, nothing happens. Oh well, it is what it is. But if something happens, something happens. Cool, move on, roll it, and observe that one as well. And you will find eventually that when you're in that state of observance, everything just sort of works together. Everything takes care of itself. You take care of yourself in a much more competent and efficient manner. You don't waste energy anymore. You don't waste energy thinking about things that you can't control. You don't waste energy thinking about stuff that your sense of self depends on just because of a psychological image. Yeah? Why do you think guys act macho? I've thought about this. Why do you think they do? It's because they feel insecure. They feel weak, empty, like they don't feel like they're up to the challenge. So they put on a front to scare other people. That's what they're doing. They're trying to scare other people, but they're trying to fake it to themselves, really. They're trying to convince themselves. But they feel a certain way, and they're trying to cover up with this overcompensation. Well, what I'm telling you to do is to observe the feeling of insecurity, the feeling of lack. Observe it and watch it. See where it goes. See who it goes to, where it comes from and where it goes. Just see it. You'll find that you won't need to posture anymore. You won't need to put on a front. You won't need to deliberately try and intimidate other people, because you've already got that power anyway. Not to intimidate other people, but to stand to the challenge. And that's ultimately why you're intimidating them, is because you're trying to convince them that I'm ready up to the challenge, I can fight. You're trying to convince them, and you may fool them. You may. I'm not saying you won't, you may fool some, but you won't fool yourself. Because when you go to sleep, the same fears are going to reappear over and over again, and it's going to just drive you insane. A lot of people go through this. This is ego delusion. Ego. What's the ego? Ego is, well, it's basically the phantom you, the person you think you are. It's not who you are, man. Like, other people don't see that you. They see a much different version of you. Yeah, it might come close, but it's really going to be different. Yeah. Your version of you is going to be exaggerated. It may come close, but it's going to be exaggerated. It's going to be filled with a lot of delusion. But other people's version of you is probably more objective. And that's really funny and really scary to actually hear, because you're not actually the person you think you are. Okay, so meditation, gentlemen. Meditation is very important. I would say please implement it in your life. Please utilize it. It has very practical benefits. It's not just voodoo, it's practical shit. Okay? Hope the video was useful.